In the early 90s, Nintendo put out a request for design plans for a game that anyone could enjoy. Feeling up to the challenge, a young Masahiro Sakurai, who was just 19 at the time, came up with a simple gameplay concept and successfully pitched it to his higher ups. The game started under the name Twinkle Popo, no, I am not kidding, and development began with a simple blob character. However, during the development, Sakurai became attached to the character and decided to make it the main character. The name of the character was Popopo. I am not joking, but Nintendo was worried that Western audiences wouldn't like the name. So they asked Nintendo of America for some names that would appeal to Western audiences, and the name they chose on the list was the last name of the lawyer who defended Nintendo from being sued by Universal Studios over disputes about believe it or not, that happened. And the name of that lawyer was Jack Kirby, and that's the name they chose for their character, Kirby. So why is he white? Well, as most of you are well aware, Kirby is pink. This is the color that Sakurai wanted him to be. However, most of the staff thought he was yellow based on his design alone. So when the game arrived in North America, they weren't given any indicator what color he was supposed to be, and not wanting to take a side in the ongoing debate in Japan, they went with the rogue option of making him white, like how he looks in the game. Although, if you ask me, on the original Game Boy, he looks kinda green to me. Leave it to America to make the choice that no one is happy with. Anyways, our story begins on a tiny star far, far away in a special place known as Dreamland, which is just the equivalent of a country on a planet named Popstar. I always thought that Dreamland was, well, a land in some dreams. Apparently, it's just a nice place. One dark night, the gluttonous King Dedede swooped down from Mount Dedede for a midnight snack. Do you think he's named after the mountain, or is the mountain named after him? Anyways, Dedede stole all of the food of Dreamland and their treasured sparkling stars as well. No, anything but the sparkling stars. Have mercy on the people, Dedede. Because the Dreamlanders no longer had the sparkling stars, they could no longer make food. Sounds like a skill issue to me. Get good, scrubs. Anyways, Kirby, who is mentioned to be a child, sees the struggling masses and declares, "Don't worry, I'll get your food and your sparkling stars back." And the people cheered for someone else fixing all of their problems as compared to coming up with a plan of action by themselves. So Kirby sets out to get all the food back and the sparkling stars. Kirby's Dream Land is a very short and simple game. In fact, it was one of the first games I ever beat. I hadn't even realized that I had beat the game until years later looking up information about Kirby's first ever game. There are only 5 stages in this game. 5. That's it. And a stage is an entire level. No wonder this game was on the Game Boy. The first stage is Green Greens, a lovely walk through a spring meadow summed up as a single opening level. Controlling Kirby is really easy. You got your movement, you can jump, you can blow up like a balloon and float around, and most iconically, you can suck up enemies and blow them out as projectiles. Just like a vacuum cleaner. Also, when you have an enemy sucked up, you can crouch to swallow the enemy whole. Where, according to the Kirby lore, they get sent to a voidless realm where they will drift eternally in darkness. Is it really a Kirby game if there isn't a meta existential threat to all reality? And if you are able to suck up an enemy that has a cool ability and then swallow them, what do you think happens? That's right, absolutely nothing. Kirby's iconic copy ability does not exist yet. Playing a Kirby game without copy abilities can kind of feel like eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that has no peanut butter or jelly. Despite this bread sandwich of a game is still pretty fun. Anyways, as we get further into Green Greens, you'll eventually reach a warp star, which brings you to the mid boss, Poppy Bro Sr. He'll throw bombs at you. Why are you so hostile, bro? Is it because I've been spending most of my time in this game slaughtering all of your family members? Because if that's the case, I completely understand your hatred towards me. Anyways, he's a pushover, and this fight was over before I finished this explanation. The end of the level has you climb up a tree, and once you reach the top of the tree, you fall back down so that you can fight another tree. There seems to be a lot of trees in this forest, which is something one of my friends felt like pointing out as I was playing through this stage. Oh man, there's so much water in the ocean. What's wrong with you, bro? Anyways, now we must fight Wispy Woods. Why are we fighting Wispy Woods? Beats me, but I don't need much of a reason to declare war on trees. Look at those deadbeats, making my oxygen so I can breathe. Wood, you think you're better than me? Wispy Woods will blow air at you and will drop apples on your head. Death by Newton. I knew it would end this way. You can suck up the apples and use them as ammo against Wispy Woods. After hitting him 6 times, you'll defeat him and he'll begin crying. Bet you feel like a real man now, getting a tree to cry. Anyways, Kirby can grab some stars, which causes him to multiply into 3 Kirbys who all begin dancing on the sad tree's roots. This guy just can't catch a break. But don't worry, Mr. Woods, I bet this will be the only time you'll be needlessly humiliated by Kirby, right? Anyways, let's move on to stage 2, which is called Castle Lolo. What is with all these 3 sound names? Dedede, Lolo, Popopo, and Kirby. Castle Lolo is a haunted stronghold filled to the brim with the spirits of the dead. But, in a cute way. It's a giant maze. Can we have at least one platforming game that doesn't have a maze in it? So you'll stumble around for a bit until you realize that the door that's the farthest away from the one you started at is more than likely the correct one. How is this game design? You'll eventually run into Lolo, who is a Pac-Man ghost. He would be the one who designed this maze of a castle. Oh, I'm murdering you in the coldest blood for sure. Once you dispatch Lolo, you go back to more maze rooms. Oh, good, because I was starting to have fun. Eventually, you'll come to the boss, which is Lolo again. But this time, he is joined by his girlfriend, La La La. Aw, they're so cute together. I'll make sure they die together as well. I'd hate to separate them. Anyways, let's move on to stage 3. Stage 3 is called Float Islands. It's a chain of tropical islands. I mean, yeah, that's basically it. Whoa, look, coconuts! I want to eat one. I don't know what I was expecting. Eventually, you'll find a cave which is filled with spiky enemies and Easter Island statue heads. I swear I am not attempting to stretch out the length of this video. I promise. There's no way my mic picked that up. On the other side of the cave, you will find a pirate ship which has a warp star on it. This warp star warps you into a whale's blowhole, who proceeds to shoot you into the clouds, where you will find a mint leaf that gives you minty fresh breath that you can use to fight the boss of this stage, Kabula. Kabula is a blimp that shoots cannonballs at you. All you gotta do is breathe on it, then Kabula will feel so bad about its own rancid breath that it will explode out of shame. Woohoo! More stars! Stage 4 is Bubbly Clouds. It's an area high above in the skies of Dreamland. In certain parts of the level, it gives you a nice view of the void of space. It feels pointless to say that most of the enemies here are airborne enemies, but I will point it out anyways. All things considered, we came really close to having the 4 non-endgame levels be based on the 4 classical elements. Green Greens is earth, Float Islands is water, and Bubbly Clouds is air, with Castle Lolo being a disappointment. Could have been a cool fire level, but no. Spooky maze. Anyways, eventually you'll come to the mini-boss, who is Kracko Jr., which is an eyeball that is surrounded by 4 balls. Killing you is the thing that I am doing right now. Why is there so much murder in this game? Anyways, let's move on to fight the boss of this level, which is just Kracko. He's gotta be pissed at me for killing his son. Even though it's not his son, it's just another form of him. Why did they have to make this confusing and ruin my joke? Anyways, Kracko is actually my favorite boss in this game. He just has such an interesting variety in his attack patterns. I should clarify, variety for this game. I always look forward to seeing his puffy spikiness. Even though I beat you, I salute you, Kracko. This Kirby dance of celebration is for you, you cumulus ball of moisture. Anyways, on to the final stage of the game. Stage 5, Mount Dedede. This is it, the final level of the game. So what does Dedede have in store for us? A boss rush. Yep, we gotta fight every boss again. Even these losers. I already defeated them once. I guess once more isn't too bad.
My thirst for blood can never be satisfied.
Ha! Ugh, what was that? Anyways, once we defeat all the bosses, a door appears to bring us to the final boss, King Dedede. King Dedede is a real man's man, so he brings us to a wrestling ring for the final battle. But just like with professional wrestling, the outcome of this match was decided a long time ago. King Dedede has quite a few attacks, such as Tackle. He can also use his hammer to attempt to flatten you, or he can jump really high and come crashing down, which will also flatten you. He can also do what Kirby does: inhale and exhale. No, my own power is used against me. Looks like I'm gonna have to muster up all the skills that I have gathered in the 20 minutes that I've been playing this game in order to beat DDD. Oh, who am I kidding? He's already been defeated. And that's the end of the game. Kirby partakes in one last triumphant dance, transforms into a blimp, and carries away King Dedede's castle. He brings the castle to the Dreamlanders, returning all their food and sparkling stars. And they all lived happily ever after. That is until DDD comes crashing down next to a Game Boy, giving you a code to input at the beginning of the game that unlocks a harder playthrough. How much harder is it? Well, if the original playthrough is a soft, fluffy pillow, the extra game is a kick to the balls with a spiked steel toed boot. The enemies are faster and have new patterns, which I can't believe how such simple tweaks kick this game up from a 1 to an 11. But if you're able to beat this mode, you get a credit sequence where it lists all the names of the enemies in the game. Also, DDD will be far more stunned that you were able to beat the extra game. Also, it gives you a config mode, which is a thing, and that's Kirby's Dream Land. What an adventure! No, wait, that's the next one. I guess it's just Dreamland. This outro sucks. Well, to be fair, it matches Kirby. How dare I say that Kirby sucks? No, wait, I just meant that he inhales things. Please don't send the Kirby fandom my way. Those guys are ruthless. I love this puffball, I swear.